What up, what up, what up? What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Kicking It with B. My name is Brandon, and I'm here with my first guest, my homie, Marcus. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to have you on here. Thank you for taking the time to be on here. I want to introduce you to whoever's listening. I don't know who's listening, but whoever's listening, this is my boy, Marcus. Marcus is actually one part of a series that I kind of wanted to start with this podcast. On the first episode, I did talk about my goals for the year, and one of them was related to fatherhood and, potty training my daughter. Well, Marcus is going to be part of a segment that is going to focus around fatherhood. I said that already.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. We're going to get the kinks out. But anyway, so Marcus is a first-time father like I am. But he had his son at the first time later in life than me. At the time, you were 38, correct?
38, yeah.
38, and I had my daughter when I was, I came in 33? Yeah, 33. And so we're just going to talk about some challenges, our experiences with fatherhood so far, and then dive a little deeper into that. But before we do that, do you mind telling the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I got to do just a brief intro right now. I just moved from Georgia to California. Still, trying to get the kinks of different time zones and, work schedule and all of that stuff together. But originally, I am from California. I'm from San Diego.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot you are originally from California. Okay. And he's a ride or die Lakers fan, too.
Of course. That's where I'm at now. I'm up in, the LA area. I'm staying in Burbank right now.
Nice.
The wife wants to get down to San Diego, but
in due time.
It costs a little bit over
in
there.
Due time.
So,
in due time.
Yeah.
You go put your feet down first, and then once you settle, transition.
Yes, I mean, the same thing I told her was, let's just get here first. We get here, we get someplace for for a year, and then figure out where we're going from there. So that's the goal.
Cool. Now look, I can't be mad at that. Look, sunny California. I did talk in first episode how I do want to come out there because I got family out there that I need to visit, but I also got a homie out there I need to visit.
Yeah, come on down, man.
Look, you ain't gotta tell me. Is that how I ended up in Atlanta? You told me to come on down, right? So that's a great segue into the next portion I want to talk to you about, because I think how we met is funny. It's funny because it's not a traditional way of meeting. Like, I didn't meet you in person. You
are probably the only person that I've met this way. So, yes.
Exactly. So the way Marcus and I met, we met through a mutual game in which I was better than him in, but he won't admit it, but it's okay.
You never were, so, I'll let you have it. It's your show. It's your show,
Let me be
Give
great
me your
for
flowers, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you. So we met on a video game called Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was an Xbox Live game, and I played Marcus in it. He destroyed me. And then we played again and again, and he kept beating me, and I was like, what in the world? And he was like, what, you ranked like number 7 or something in the world?
Yeah, I was in the top 10 at some point.
He was fantastic. He was ranked high. But the one time I beat him, I called that me taking the rank 7, and then after I did that, I legit, out of the 20 times we played, I beat him once. And then I was like, I'm ranked 7. I think it was in my bio on Xbox. Yeah. But that's how we met, and we would play the game frequently. We would bust it up, but then I don't know if you mind sharing your part of this, but I had lost my job. I got laid off, and then I got like really heavy into the game. Like, I was just in a bad part of my life where like that's what I did all the time. And Marcus was my homie. He would talk to me on the party chat, whatever. We just had good conversation. He met Joy. I think we became Facebook friends shortly after that. And he would just tell me about his experience in Atlanta, in Georgia in general. And, he one of the selling points when he talked about how the cost of living was lower, and me being cheap, I was super excited about that. I can tell you now that is not the case anymore. The rent here is high as hell.
Well, everyone kind of flocked over there now, so everything's skyrocketed.
Yes, unfortunately. And that kind of made me want to move down here. I've never been to Georgia, never been to Atlanta, and I wanted to see what it was like. So one time, I know it was 2014, I think, Joy and I did a road trip from Philly to Florida. And on our way down, we stopped here in Georgia, and I met up with Marcus. This is our first time meeting in person. I met up with him and his now wife, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, was she your wife at the time too, or no?
No, not them.
Okay. All right, okay. Because that's the first time I met her. And I met up with them. We met up with them. And they showed us around. At the time, it was Marietta, which is where I ended up moving when I first moved down here. And then they took us around Georgia, Atlantic Station, all these other things, to check out. And it was cool. I never been. They showed me the sites. I think I saw the CNN building, the Cartoon Network building for the first time. I was super hyped because I'm a nerd. But it was great. It was a good time. We just had fun. And then the evening, we were driving around something. I think they were driving back to your apartment at the time. And Joy and I had passed out because we had already been on the road for 14 hours coming down here. And Marcus was like, bruh, do you want to stay in my crib? Never met this dude in person. But we knew each other in a sense. I wasn't completely a stranger. He knew my wife. He knew me. We spent so much time playing the game and chatting that we had gotten to know each other very well.
Right.
So I assume you felt comfortable, otherwise you wouldn't have offered. But so that was Southern hospitality to me, because not knowing me like that, or in person or seeing me in person, not knowing if I was crazy or whatnot, he offered that, and we crashed, and then we headed on to Florida the next day. And I always appreciated that. That was like my first taste of Southern hospitality. So thank you for that.
I mean, I think that's my character too, which, sometimes it's a little too much because I'm a little too nice, as my wife would say. But, I feel like I knew you,
Yeah.
even though we had just spoke, we only spoke, via the game or whatnot. I had several conversations with you. I spoke to Joy a lot. She stalked me a little bit on Facebook to make sure I wasn't crazy.
She did.
Yeah.
She will do that.
So,
she will do that.
I felt like it was a good friendship that was made. So
For sure. You were my first friend here in Georgia. When I moved down here, I didn't know anybody except you. And eventually you introduced me to your friends, and now I'm cool with them too. And we kind of got a little circle of friends. That's dope. It sucks that you moved, but I understand. I understand personal growth, and you have to do it. Do what's best for you. Because I moved. I got homies back home probably feel the same way about me. But I had to. You have to move to grow, and you knew y'all knew that's what y'all wanted, and you made the move.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. I'm coming to visit you. You gave me more of a reason to come out to California.
Hey, I told you I'm here, so anytime, man.
All right, let's do it.
Give me the heads up, and I'll make it happen.
For sure. I mean, I'm thinking of coming in May, but we'll talk about that later on. So let's get right into it. Like I mentioned earlier in my first episode, I did talk about my goals for the year. So for 2023, what are some of your goals? Have you set any goals for the year?
Not true goals yet. But just if I had to say off the top of my head, I do want to get back into working out because, last year I started, doing the jump rope.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You're doing 100 jumps a day or something like that.
It was more than that, but yeah, I was doing 10 to 15 minutes per day, every day for about 2 months. Mm-hmm. But then, that was for a trip, the Vegas trip that we had scheduled. Mm-hmm. When I got back, caught COVID, so kind of snowballed, and I haven't done it since. But I want to get back in the groove of that and actually start working out a little bit more.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of the goals. Yeah, it's one of the goals. The other goal is just to kind of learn more about this city that I'm in now. LA, go out, just explore. Like my wife and I love to hike. We like walking. So it's great out here. They have sidewalks, which is rare in Georgia.
I have those here. Man, it is the worst time taking my daughter for a walk. I can do it in my neighborhood, but I got to watch out for cars all the time. There's no sidewalks, and I hate that.
Yeah,
so Georgia, get your stuff together.
Yeah, so doing that, I want to check out some museums and, just things, the zoo out here. Just, a few things out here that I haven't had the time to do yet.
It sounds like you want to be a tourist. You're talking about tourist attractions like a zoo and whatnot.
Not tourist attractions per se, but I do want to take my son out, to see more of the stuff. I want to take him to the zoo so he can see some animals and things like that.
Copy. That's funny. I have never taken Love to the zoo here. I've taken her to the zoo in Seattle when we went there. I guess maybe because I felt like it was a little different. I've never been to the zoo here, so that's something I gotta do. So that sounds awesome, man. Any other goals for the year, or is that what comes to mind?
Man, it's mostly like family stuff, man. Just trying to make sure that my family is safe, and keep them close to me. That's it, really.
I love that. That's what's up, man. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Yep.
So as I started off with this episode, along with a few others, with a couple other guys, are going to be focused around fatherhood. So I do have a couple questions for you about your experiences with fatherhood, and I'll be happy to share some of mine as well.
Okay.
The first question I have, sorry, I'm referencing these for notes, is how would you describe your experience with fatherhood so far? The ups, the downs, things like that.
I want to say it's been challenging. I think that you can be, what is it? Like I think I was ready, but I was not prepared.
Interesting. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What does it mean to be ready but not prepared?
I think because my wife wanted to make sure like finances and other stuff was together, to make sure that we could support, our child. But I think for me, I wanted to have my child early on, like 30, but now having them at a later age, I realized that I wasn't prepared for it. Like it's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot of just caring and time and energy, no sleep, lack of sleep.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. That's like the one thing they told me about parenthood that was 100% accurate. But so it's funny you say that you wanted to have your child earlier in life, like 30. So I could say having mine at 33, my experience is the same. I was not ready. I don't even think I was prepared because you have nieces and nephews, or a niece or a nephew, correct?
Yes, nephews.
Did that come after your son was born or before?
Well, my nephews came on my wife's side.
Yes, right. That's correct. That's correct. So same with me. Like Joy's sister had our niece first, but I didn't spend a lot of time with her as a baby. So I didn't really have the experiences like changing diapers and feeding and stuff. Like I never had any experience with children in their infant stages at all. Like 6, 7, yes, but infants, no.
Yeah.
So I was not prepared.
And then the thing is, there's no real manual, right? You have the child, and then in a couple of days they kick you out, and you're just off to yourself, right?
They really give you a whole human and say, "Here you go."
Yeah,
that's it. No tutorial. Well, they did teach me how to change a diaper, thankfully, but
they did the same for me too.
It's a scary thing. When I tell you the ride home with our daughter,
the slowest ride in your life,
10 miles per hour, man. Oh man, I was so scared. I was so scared, and the crazy part is we had our daughter in Marietta, and right now I live in Decatur side. That's a 57-minute ride. That was a 57-minute ride. Imagine doing that, going 10 miles per hour. I think I made that ride 2 hours long.
Yeah,
but
no, I get it.
It was terrifying.
Ours was we were staying in Latonia then, and we had to go to Decatur. So it was about 35 minutes for us from the hospital. But it was, like you said, the slowest ride in my life.
Dude, I stopped at every stop sign perfectly, every red light perfectly. If a light turned yellow, I was braking like a mile back. That's how panicked I was, man. It was an interesting experience for sure. So thank you for sharing that. So that being said, the first stages, because now your son's 1.5, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though some of those struggles that you had at the beginning are gone now, or have new struggles come up?
I'll say a little of both, right? I think that the early struggles of like making sure that he was eating the right stuff, and that stuff is kind of gone. Like he eats whatever now, and at this moment he's a little picky on what he eats.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
He's going through his phases where he's trying to figure out what he likes, what he doesn't like. He's talking a little bit. So like let me go back to the question. What was the actual question first before I get into it? Because I could talk about my son all day long.
This is true, but I mean that's fine. No, that's fine. But the question was, how would you describe your experience with fatherhood so far? So that kind of ties into everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, like just seeing your child learn like right there in front of you. Like I was able to see his first steps.
Love that.
And and like now he's he tells us when he's ready to eat. When he's hungry, he knows. He says, "Eat."
I love it.
Like, yeah. So he's just learning a few words here and there, and we're picking up on his language. He's understanding us. I think he's understood us for a while though.
Yeah.
I say a lot of things, and he does exactly what I tell him to.
So I have a question for you. Do you and your wife, when he was younger, did you do baby talk or did you just straight talk to him?
No. Yeah, we didn't do any baby talk.
Same. I feel like that helps with her communication because my daughter can communicate to me very well. Like she doesn't use baby words in a sense. Like, so you said he said eat, and my daughter will say yummy. She'll be like, "Daddy, yummy," and I'm like, "Yes, I got you." Like I know what she needs because she's able to communicate with me. Not saying baby talk is a bad thing. I mean, if you're a parent that does baby talk, that's fine. But I just felt it more effective to just talk how I would expect her to talk as she got older. So that way communication isn't difficult. She'll be able to let me know what she needs or what she wants. And I think we've seen a lot of success from that. Sounds like you two have as well. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm also friends with your wife on social media, and she shares pictures of your son. And a lot of times I'll message and I'll be like, "Are you guys having fun?" And she'll be like, "Yeah, he started walking. He's in everything." So, I love that for y'all because it's an exciting phase in life.
He started at 8 months for us. So it was.
He started walking at 8 months?
8 months.
Whew.
Yeah. So that's when I say it's been an experience. He's been getting in everything.
Sure.
Just finding his way. And being when we were in California, we had 2-story, so we had to like make sure that he was kind of blocked off from the steps and stuff. Here we have an apartment, it's one floor, so
it's full access to everything.
Yeah, full access to everything. So
I love it.
It's fun though, but he gets to get out and just kind of roam free a little bit.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How's he adjusting to the move?
I think he loves it. We get to take him to the park a lot. We walk outside a lot. I think the weather's
much different.
Better.
Yeah, much different. Yeah. I can't be mad at you. I'm hating a little bit because when we had like 40 degrees, 30 degrees, we planned up in the house, and I would love to be at the park. But
I spoke to my family like that, and they were like, "It's 40 degrees out here." It's like, man, it's 75 here.
No
we're at the park.
Oh, we're at the park. Where are y'all doing? Oh, we're standing by the furnace because it's cold as crap.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Yeah. That's what's up, though. I'm glad things are going well for y'all, and I'm glad that you're enjoying your time as a father.
Oh yeah. So much.
So one question I do have for you is, how do you find time for yourself? Because being a father is very demanding. So how do you find time for yourself?
That was something I had to figure out. Right. So my wife and I do like schedules, really. So some portion of the day I'm watching him. She's handling her business. Some portion of the day, she's watching him. I'm taking care of stuff that I need to take care of. So in between that, we're both trying to find sort of our lane to do what we need to do. Like my wife is a writer, so she spends a lot of her time trying to write, and most of it is overnight. So she writes some during the afternoon, and then at night she writes some more. So the morning time is a little crazy because I'm working. I work from home, so I get to work from home. But since she was up all night, I have to watch him when he gets up for a bit, So we figured out a way to make it work. So I can't complain about it.
That's funny because your setup, your routine sounds a lot like Joy and I, because I also work from home. So when I start my day, I'm usually starting her day as well, making her breakfast, things like that, because Joy will stay up late at night emailing clients or preparing menus and stuff. So she'll come to bed a little later, so I give her, some leeway to lay lay in bed and sleep in and whatnot. However, I've been able to, for me personally, I've been able to pencil out some time for myself. So I get up at 4:30 a.m. every day. It's crazy, but I do it. And that's when I get a chance to go to the gym and do my thing. And then by the time I come back, they're still asleep. So I'm able to prepare for my day, get ready, grab my laptop, make sure it's charged, start breakfast and whatnot. So, it was difficult at first finding that time because father is so demanding, especially when she was younger. Like, we didn't know when she would wake up. There were times when she would wake up 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. So it was so sporadic. But once we, got her on a better sleep schedule, it became a little easier.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me right now is the move from Georgia to here was like phenomenal for our timing. Because with my job schedule, I'm basically working for East Coast and West Coast. So when I was in Georgia, I was basically working we'll call it 8 to 8, essentially, because
it's a long shift.
Yeah, West Coast closes at 5, so that's 8 o'clock East Coast. Now I'm working 6 a.m. to about 3, so I gain a couple more hours, and the time that I'm off between 3 and I'll say about 6:30, that's my window of either me doing some stuff for myself, us doing stuff together, or whatever. And then when she wants to write, she has, some of that time at beyond 6 o'clock to write. So we've figured it out, what works for us.
That's what's up. This really is a partnership. You have to lean on each other. You have to lean on each other. That's the best way to do it. Without that, it all falls apart. So I'm glad that you were able to make that schedule and make that work for you. And we were talking a little bit before we went live with this about how, that's a little different than our parents used to do back in the day. But it works for us now because we're busy individuals and we still need to raise our children. So we kind of have to be a little selfish and make that time for ourselves, because if we don't, we just fall into the role of parent and lose ourselves in that process.
Right. Can I ask you a question real quick?
Go ahead, shoot.
So early on with love, did you ever feel like you were doing too much? Like you were, because I look at it this way. I think at some point in time, both parties feel like they're doing more than the other, but they're doing different stuff, separately. So it feels like, when I'm taking care of, my child, I feel like, man, I'm doing all this stuff. And then when my wife has them, she feels like she's overwhelmed sometimes and taking care of a lot of things. So did you ever feel that way?
Yes, I did. I still feel that way to a degree. And I'm sure Joy feels the same way. Because kind of when we have our time with them, like you mentioned, you're working from home. Like I'm working from home. And we're wearing two hats at once. Not only are we a father, we're also an employee. So I'm working and I'm getting caught up with that. On top of that, I'm watching her, making sure she doesn't get into stuff, making sure she's okay, making sure she's entertained and doing something fun and whatnot while working. So it can be overwhelming. And I know Joy feels the same. It's been times she's been cooking and in love with trying to go into the kitchen and stuff and, getting away with some things. But yeah, I think that's a good summary of how that feels. And it's weird because we gauge it differently. Like so when it's our time, it seems like it's a lot. When it's their time, it seems like it's a lot. But from the outside looking in, we're like, man, they got it easy right now.
Yeah.
They got it easy.
Yeah. And I think that's what some people who look into my life feels like. They may, like, my mom may call me and I'm working, but I also have my son, and she's like, well, what's Sade doing? And I'm like, she's asleep, or she's writing, or she's doing something, And like, do you always have it, have him this time? I'm like, no, it's just this time you called, but, so it seems like sometimes it looks on the outside as, like you said, we're wearing two hats. We're working and watching our child, when your wife may or may not be doing the same.
And you bring up something too, like outside influence, like parents, our parents, because they've been there before. They're quick to offer advice, but they just don't know how things work in this day and age.
Exactly.
And that could be a little stressful because they're like, oh, why aren't you doing it? Like the other day, my mom called me and was like, where's Love? And I'm like, she's at her grandparents. She's been there for a couple days. I'm like, yeah, Mom, we got some things we got to get done. So we need someone to watch her. What you mean? I got this project I'm working on at work, and Joy got this big catering event. What do you expect us to do? Like, I can't do both, and Joy can't do both. So we need some help. But it seems to me, it just seems like judgment. Like,
yeah.
I'm not doing the best I can as a father. I'm like, you understand? All last week we had her, and it was a lot. You know what it's like with a 2-year-old running around the whole time while you're trying to do something.
He's still trying to do stuff,
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, and I feel like that's unfair because they've already had that experience, and to them it was different. They didn't have to deal with a pandemic. They didn't have to deal with inflation. They didn't have to deal with like all the things going on in the world, like all the stressful things happening, along with raising a toddler.
Yeah, but you got to understand too, right? It was 30 plus years for them. So their memory's a little off on what they were doing, because I'm sure they had help. I'm sure, I'm sure the things that we're doing, they were also doing. It's just like, 30 years ago, I didn't do that. You may not have done it all the time, but you did it, So.
And they forget. They forget, though.
Oh, yeah.
They forget. They make it seem like it's so easy. I'm like, no, it's not easy. And then they got the nerve. They have the nerve to ask us when we're having another one. I'm like, whoa, can this one be potty trained first? When they're self-sufficient, okay?
So,
and they can go
there's
to the
another one for you, right?
Oh, in the future, you mean?
In the future, yeah.
Oh, I mean, all jokes aside. Well, my producer's not here right now, but she would agree. We talked about having 4 kids. Yeah, I know.
How recent?
Lately we haven't had that conversation, if I'm being honest. But before we had Love, we talked about having 4 kids because I'm an only child and she's a middle child. So we didn't want to deal with that. Like, we didn't want her to be lonely, but we also didn't want her to feel like she was overlooked. You know what I mean? So
we both wanted 2.
Okay, that's solid though.
Wanted.
Past tense. Okay.
Yes, keyword wanted.
Copy.
Yes.
Okay.
We're done.
I mean,
we're one and done.
Oh, see, no, I'm an only child. That's not a good experience.
I know.
It's not a good experience. I mean, it is what it is.
I think
sibling?
I do. See, for me, I think that I'll be willing to. Like, I know that it's going to be hard, but my wife also had a complicated pregnancy.
Understood. Same with Joy, which is why we kind of, took a break and didn't immediately jump back into it. So that's understandable. And honestly, this is the thing with Black women. I'm assuming you know this, the complications with Black women and like the healthcare workers not believing them about pain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, first of all, the internet is a scary thing because I looked it up once and then I kept being bombarded with like articles of it while she was pregnant. And I can tell you my anxiety was high as hell the day of delivery, dude. The day of delivery, I was panicked. Joy would never know because me, I just kept it cool. But I was scared as crap. I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was just very intense. I don't know if you shared that same feeling, but it was a very scary moment for me.
Mine was, the ride there was fine. Then I think it went from 0 to 100 immediately. She had an emergency C-section. So it was like, one point we're good. She's in labor. Next thing I know, they are racing her out of the room.
Ooh.
They're calling all these codes.
See.
And they left me in the room by myself.
Bro, what?
Yes. So they left me in the room and they were like, someone will come to get you shortly. And I think that was like the scariest moment of my life.
I'm sure it was, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they rushed her
I
off.
can only imagine what was going on.
Yeah, they rushed her to the ER and I'm just there. I think like I broke down because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Eventually they came and got me, but as soon as they got me, they were like, "Oh, she's getting ready to have the baby, so you need to hurry up, put your scrubs on, rush in." And when I got there, she was delivering.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. At least you were there. At least you were
Yeah.
there for that moment. And I'm glad. I'm glad that she was okay. Because that's a very terrifying thing.
Oh, yeah.
To be separated from your wife in that moment, man, no.
Yeah, especially you don't know what's going on, right? So,
And it's your first time, so you don't know what to expect. So I can only imagine. I said my anxiety was high. I know you had to be going through it. You had to be going through it.
And I'm usually a calm person, man.
This is true. Damn.
So, but
Okay.
having a child has definitely changed me on the emotional side.
What does that mean? Elaborate on that.
Yeah, I didn't. My wife can tell you on one hand, like we've been married 7 years, going on 8. How many times she's seen me cry in front of her, right? Having a child, I'm emotional on everything. I mean, we watching TV shows. I'm over here.
I know, Marcus.
Bruh, it's crazy, man. Like I never thought I'd go, be like that.
That's deep.
And I think, for me, it's like, that's my child. Like that's, who I created, who I have to protect. So when I see these things on TV and stuff happening, I'm like,
man, tell me about it. I be seeing Amber Alerts like crazy. Georgia always got a bunch of Amber Alerts, and I'm like terrified. We took Love one time to the playground in the mall because we was out one day, Mall of Georgia, and then she saw this little play area. She wanted to go play. When I tell you, I followed her around like a hawk because I was so nervous, dude. It was too many kids, too many people. I'm like, where's she at? She had on a pink shirt. Where's she at? All right, there she go. There she go. There she go. I followed her around. It's. I would say being a parent unlocks a new level in life that is very nerve-wracking because you want to make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're doing it right. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure on raising the child. I mean, because if we're being honest, as people, we have bad habits, and we don't want our bad habits to come onto our child. So we try to correct those the best we can, make sure they don't see us. Like I know, unfortunately, sometimes I can have a bit of a potty mouth, so I got to watch what I say because she will repeat, and I need to just be more cautious of that about what I'm pouring into her. And I know you feel the same about your son.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And speaking of that, I think I had a conversation with my wife and a couple friends. Each of us has like a phrase or something that our parents told us that kind of changed the way we looked at life or who we are. And if we went back to our parents, I've gone back to my dad, who was one who kind of put this image in my head, but they won't remember because
what you mean? They won't remember the phrase that they instilled in you?
Yeah. So I'll say this. So at one point in my life, and I don't know if my dad was joking. I don't know what the context of how he was feeling, I should say, was, but he was just like, "Hey, man, just make sure you don't bring no big girls home." and I don't know what that meant, right? I don't know what that meant, but the people that I dated were all like pencil thin for a long time, for a very long time. So, and I told him that once. He was like, you bring like the same type of girls. I was like, well, you told me this. And he was like, no, I don't remember that. So
of course not.
Just something to that degree, like them saying something to you and that sort of changed how you looked at life. So for me, it's like, I think that's the scary part for me. It's like, I don't want to say something and my son takes that and runs with it thinking my word was gospel and has, so yeah. So I figured that.
When you bring that up, I have two phrases that come to mind that my mom said to me. And one of them, I don't agree with, listeners, I don't agree with, but she said, if they can't use your comb, don't bring them home. She did want me to bring home a white woman. Look, that's my mom's words, not mine. But the second one for sure is something I live by. And she always told me, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. So you'll never see me buy like a lower end version of something, unless it's like a great value version of a food or something. I don't care about that. But when it comes to like technology, like I'm going to pay top dollar for it because I don't want to buy it again because it's not cheap. You know what I mean? So that's something she instilled into me. So those two things kind of resonated with me, I guess, because all my girlfriends have been black. So I guess maybe it did resonate with me a little bit. But, I don't agree with what she said, but like similar to what your father said to you, it's been in the back of my mind, I suppose. So
yeah, I think so.
So that leads me to a question on my end. Then, is that something that you're not going to try and instill those kind of things into your son?
I won't say I won't try to instill, but I said I'm afraid of what advice he takes based on stuff that I tell him.
Okay, got you.
Because some of it can just be so small, so subtle. You can be joking and at some point, and they don't take it in that fashion, Because like I said, my dad could have been joking. I have no idea. He 30 years later, he's not going to remember that.
I can tell you now, my mom was not joking, unfortunately. She was not joking about both of those phrases. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you. And it's funny you say that too, because I often wonder, me and Joy always talk about this. What is love going to be like in the future? Because, we have certain beliefs. We live a certain way. Is she going to continue? People ask me this all the time too. They're like, oh, what if love decides not to be vegan when she gets older? And I'm like, I don't see why she would. Because it's all she knows, and and it's not really something it's not a diet that we're on. It's a lifestyle. Like we incorporate this into everything we do. But at the end of the day, she is her own person. So whatever path she chooses to take, I'm not going to try and move her off that unless it's like a criminal path. I don't want that. But I think the values that we bestow upon her as she is learning now are going to follow her for the rest of her life. And I'm sure you think the same about your son. Because knowing you and the type of man you are, I know you're not going to teach your son anything wrong.
Exactly.
If there was my biggest fear is the man or woman, whatever she chooses, when she gets older, that love chooses to be with. I want them to have similar values. And if I was to think about like your son, and knowing you as a person and your wife, I know that your son will have good values also when he gets older. Same with our other friend, his son.
Yeah.
And that's just something I know because I know you as people, and I know that what you're pouring into your son now is going to be beneficial for him in the future.
Exactly. Yep.
And then that's exciting because you're a good dude. Like I said, you invited me to stay at your crib, barely knowing
appreciate
you.
it.
Of course. You knew me, you know what I mean? But, just that's the kind of person you are. You are a very laid back person, but you're also a very friendly person and a good dude. So that's what's up.
That's my wife and I are like the yin and yang kind of thing because I'm laid back and she's like, I'm laid back on certain stuff and she has some sort of anxiety to a lot of things. So she's always prepared for everything. And I live for tomorrow, So
that's so funny.
Yeah,
that sounds a lot like Joy.
Yeah, she's prepared for the next 5 years. I'm like, but I'm tomorrow, that's how I look at life. So we balance each other. I try to bring her. I won't say it's just a man thing because I have, a couple friends who, they prep for everything and do stuff, but I think, it's mostly a man thing, I'll say.
Because I noticed that trend amongst me and my friends. Like, Joy gets on me all the time for being nonchalant. She's like, you can't be nonchalant about everything. You have to care about something. And I'm like, I do care about some things, but for this, I'm okay. Like, it'll just be. And I got a homie that's the same way. And then you saying something similar. I'm like, this is clearly a trait of males. Feel free to comment below if you agree or disagree with that. But, I'm seeing a trend here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, that's what's up. I can't even tell you what question we were on, but I've enjoyed the conversation so far.
Oh, yeah.
But, here's one question I have for you, and I'll share my insight on this. But what are some of the challenges of being a father that you would share with a first-time dad?
Oh man, Let's see. Trying to think. Because, I mean, patience. Having patience.
Patient.
You know,
Absolutely.
'cause
Absolutely.
I thought I was patient. You know, I really thought I was patient. I thought I would be the patient person. My wife would be the one kind of yelling and screaming. It's kind of, I'm going to say it's the opposite, but I don't really yell and scream. But I think
I would need
I'm
to
the
hear
one.
you yell. I need to hear you yell.
No, I'm the one I get more frustrated because I feel like I know my son listens and he knows what I'm saying. And sometimes he acts like he doesn't. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm like, come on, man. I know you know what you're doing. But again, he's about to be a year and a half, you know, next month. So I got to give him his baby card. Chalk it up.
Give us some grace. Give us some grace. You know, he's a toddler. But that's
a
real thing.
Yeah, that and being able to communicate. You know, communication with not your child, with your spouse, your baby mom, baby dad, whatever. You know, you gotta have some sort of communication to make this thing work.
This is very true. So now I have a quick follow-up question. Mm-hmm. And feel free to answer this or not. But do you feel as though having a child strengthened or what's what I'm looking for? Burdened your relationship with your spouse?
I honestly feel like it's strengthened. Mm-hmm. Like 100%.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I think it took my focus from everything else in the world, and now I'm focused, like I'm honed in on family.
I feel the same way. All the things that happened, the pandemic, like the world shutting down, all that, it only just made me think more about the family and like my time with them. Like, one, I'm grateful for the pandemic. I know that's a terrible thing to say because we lost people, but it really gave me an opportunity to like slow down and pour into my family. Because if we didn't have the pandemic, I would have been working most of the time that Love was a baby, and I would have missed out on so much. Yeah. So I'm actually grateful for the fact that I got to have that time because I feel like that did strengthen my relationship with my daughter and my wife.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can say the same thing. You know, I'm grateful for the pandemic also. You know, I didn't lose my job. I got promoted in that, you know, started working from home. Now, when they first called the pandemic and everybody was at home, I was like, that was the test.
Dude, I thought it was the end of the world.
I thought, I didn't even lie to you. I thought this might be the end of my marriage because.
Oh, damn.
And that's just me thinking, right? It's not me saying, oh, I'll go into it. Basically because my wife and I, we were always like, I'll be at work, she's at work. It was never really like us being together.
At home, together, yeah.
100%.
For a long period of time.
Yeah.
I got you. There was a lot of conflict like that. I mean, there was conflict with us like that. I mean, seeing each other every day versus like being at work 8 hours. And y'all had staggered shifts at the time, if you don't mind me sharing that. I think she worked at night, you worked during the day. So it would be like y'all would see each other in passing most of the time.
Yeah.
So now outside is closed. Inside is the only thing that's open. And now for 24 hours a day, you have to figure out how to entertain each other.
And I can
understand
person.
that.
I'm a people person. I love talking to people, right? And now I can't talk to no one but my wife. So when she's working, I want to talk. She's like, look, I'm working. Can't talk to me. So it's like, I'm about to lose my mind. Yeah, I'm going to lose my mind in here. So that's why for me, I was like, this isn't going to work. But,
Did it work?
Yeah.
You came out strong?
I had to adapt, That's one thing I probably do in life is adapt to my situation and,
that's fantastic. And I think that's what life is all about. It's about adapting because life throws you curveballs. Like I said, mentioned earlier when I first met you, I got laid off. I had never been laid off before. I had to adapt to that, adjust to a new form of life. Moving to a new city, had to adapt to that, And now you're doing the same thing.
Well, funny enough, I think you got laid off. I think a little bit after that, I became laid off.
Yeah, we were laid off at the same time. That's another reason why we grew close because I think we were both kind of in a rut over that because it was with jobs we had for a while. Yeah. And after they let us go, we were like, what do we do now? So we didn't really have like a clear path. And I think that's what also made us get close. Like, we bonded about that. Like, we used to sit and talk crap about our companies. Like, man, F them.
Yeah.
I played this Magic card. Let's go.
Yeah, so, for real. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's deep, but you brought up a good point. Life is about how we adapt and how we grow. And I think that's something, you know, as a father, instilling in your son, because life is not going to go how you plan. You may have a plan, but it's not going to go that way. There will be curveballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want my son to know, like, he could do and try whatever. You know, me personally,
exactly.
I'm not that person. And like, there's a lot that I want to do and try, but I'm so like scared on the outcome that, you know, I'm like, no, I can't do this. Even same with work. Like, I've been at my job now for going on 11 years, you know, but I feel like that's, for me, is like my sort of foundation. It's like, okay, this is my norm in our life, because my wife, she likes to do a lot of things, you know.
Same. You enjoy that. You got doing a bunch of things.
So while my wife has her hands in all the, you know, all the pots, I want to make sure that this one thing is stable. You know, consistent money coming in. The rest of that, we'll see what happens. You know.
That's so funny, because we have a similar mindset. You know, like, I work my job while you've seen Joy do several different ventures, like candles, photography is what she started with, and then now she's, you know, a chef. One, I love how all those things come together, but it's like, I think the stability that my job offers and what we have allows her to be able to explore. And I love the fact that you do the same with your wife. Like, she can explore things, because like you said, she's a writer. And when I first met her, you know, I didn't know anything about that. And then as I got to know her more, I subscribed to her blog, started seeing what she was capable of. Now she has 2-3 published books on Amazon.
I think she has like 4 or 5 now.
Look, you know, and it's crazy, because, you know, us kind of being the foundation of the family, making sure the income is there, allows them to dip their toes and experiment. And I agree with you about the fact you want to do the same with your son. Let him know that he could try anything. I want to do the same thing with Love. You know, try things, see what you're going to like. You don't have to just have a job. Like, you know, granted, I work, but I'm trying this out. This is my passion project. But it's like, you know, you can pour into yourself and just see what comes of it. You never know what can become of it.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. And this is why I want to have you on to talk about, fatherhood, because I wanted to see what your thoughts and experiences were regarding that. So thank you for sharing.
Yep, no problem.
If there's anything else you want to add, feel free.
No, I can't think of nothing right now. You know, I'll go into the next question, and maybe I'll spin back around on, you know, if I have something that pops up.
Okay, so this will be the last question I have for you, and that is, what are some things that people don't prepare you for in fatherhood that you've experienced?
I don't know, you know, because I mean, I've heard a lot, but I haven't run into a lot of issues. Like, my son hasn't really been sick, you know, which is great, because I think him having a fever and stuff, I think he had like 1 fever this entire time.
Did you panic?
I didn't panic. My wife panicked a little bit, so it's like, okay, let's go to the ER. But then we found out that he had COVID. So
I didn't know that.
Didn't know. You know, it wasn't terrible, but he did have a fever. Then she ended up having it, and I didn't catch it because I think I previously caught it. Like,
so this was after Vegas.
This was after Vegas, yeah.
Oh, so you were patient zero then?
I won't say that, because it was a while before they caught it. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, having COVID and being like away, like, I was locked into a room. You know, I was still working from home, but my son could hear me in the room, so he come and knock on the door. You know, he put his hand underneath the door so I could see his little fingers. So I was like, I felt so bad, man.
I know.
I felt terrible, but, you know, you have to do what you got to do to protect and make sure.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Thankfully, when we had COVID, we all had it at once. We didn't know we had it. We just knew love was acting weird, and we were like, "What's wrong?" And the next day, I lost my sense of taste, and then we got tested, and we were like, "Oh,
yeah,
COVID." So it was scary. So I know when children get sick, it can be very scary because
Right.
they can't communicate with us to tell us what's wrong, and that's like the real scary thing. When Love got her fever after the COVID thing, because she didn't have any symptoms besides the fact she just slept a lot, but when she got a fever maybe a couple months ago, actually, yeah. We panicked. We went to the ER, because the RSV thing was going around. Turns out she ended up having that, and that was scary. And, I don't know. It's just, I felt helpless because I couldn't really help her bounce back. All I could do was just tend to her.
yeah.
And
So do you have anything that you weren't prepared for, or people didn't tell you?
I wasn't prepared for any of it, dude. I'm literally... It's weird because I'll say this, and this will be my piece on it. Becoming a father was the scariest thing for me. One, because I was worried about Joy during the pregnancy. Like it was rough for her at first,
Same.
and I was concerned about. And we've had a miscarriage before, and I was scared that it's
Same.
going to happen again. So I was terrified of losing Love during the process. There was that, and then when she was born, and I held her for the first time. Literally any fear, any worry I had went away instantly. It felt perfect.
Yeah.
Like I changed her diaper. They taught me how to do that. I learned how to put her in a car seat. Like it just really became second nature. And I told you I'd never been around a child before, like an infant. And this child, my child, it just felt right. Now there were complications. Like there are some things I wasn't prepared for. Like money wise, children eat up your money. Like diapers, pull-ups now, clothes. Like Love
Formula.
is 2 years.
Formula.
Yeah. $20 a can. Come on, y'all. What y'all think? $20?
Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
And
But
yeah.
yeah, like she's growing real fast. Like she's 2 years old, but she's wearing 3-year-old clothes, bro. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm already having to buy her some new stuff. We just got her some stuff for Christmas, and it's interesting. But I would say this: the fun parts of it outweigh the bad parts.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, money and things like that. All that doesn't matter to me. Like what matters to me is really just the experiences I have with my daughter. Like taking her to the park, watching her excitement going down the slide. That to me is one of the most rewarding things as a father, and I love it. And you mentioned earlier, you said one and done, but I promise you I would do it again. I would do it again multiple times. I'm scared to do it again multiple times because not every kid is the same.
Exactly.
Like, Love, I feel like was a cakewalk. She was real chill baby. She really has like my personality when it comes to just being chill. But I would totally do it again because it was fun. And I think, as you mentioned, your wife and you grew stronger because of it. Joy and I grew stronger because of it because we're pouring our love for each other into this new person and then watching the fruits of those labors grow.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I love it, man. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Same here. I think even on your worst day that you have, like the moment your child jumps into your arms, like for me, all of that is meaningless.
Absolutely.
Like all my fear, anger, whatever goes away in that moment. So I'm happy to have my son. I'll say that.
Same. People be like, "Oh, kids are stressful. Kids are this." I hear a lot of things about children, just like being a lot, and I never felt that with Love. Like she's a toddler. She's terrible twos. Yeah, she's getting into everything. But to me, that's still fun because she's exploring. She's learning new things. She doesn't know that what she's picking up is not for her. She doesn't know that. Now she's gotten into this phase where she's saying, "What's this? What's this?" And I'm explaining things to her, and to me that's fun. And I feel like I'm living my childhood again because I get to go down slides, I get to go to playgrounds and stuff. It's giving me more youth and more excitement about life in general because I feel like I'm relearning the world too with her.
Oh yeah,
and I love that
because you're now seeing stuff through their eyes.
Exactly.
So yeah, exactly. It's gonna be fun.
And I love that for both of us. I'm glad we get to experience that. I recommend doing it again, though.
Yes. Okay. So I got it now. The thing that no one prepared me for.
Shoot. What is it?
Kids are suicidal. That's what no one prepared me for. They are not afraid of anything. True. They feel like they will jump off of, fall off of, flip off of any and everything.
Yeah.
So that's what no one prepared me for. It's like I knew it would be that, but I didn't know it was that bad. Having a son who is mobile, yeah, he wanted to get into and fall off of everything. So
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Love's the same way. She'll climb anything. She'll jump off anything. Like, they're adventurous, but they don't know, like, this will hurt them.
Exactly.
It's weird. They learn. All right, so let me ask you this question real quick. All right, so say your son's in a situation where he's about to hurt himself. Not severely, but, like, maybe, like, bump a knee or trip or something. Do you let it happen? Like, if he starts crying, how do you respond?
Well, if he falls, I usually go and get him. I grab him, hold him, because I know for him it's a scary feeling, just the fall itself, and then it's the bump that happened. So yeah, I'll go grab him and hold him. But sometimes I'm like, depending on the fall, I know you're not going to really injure yourself. I gotta let you have that. Like, hold that one for me.
You be all right. You be all right.
Yep.
I can't lie, I do the same thing. Like, if I'm like, no love, don't do that, and she ends up doing it and something happens, I'm like, what did we learn?
Yep.
What did we learn? And I feel like those moments are important because you don't want to have them, think you're going to be there every time for these things, because some of these things you have to learn from experience,
right,
to not touch them. Now, granted, I'm not going to, let her touch something hot and be like, oh, you should have learned. No, exactly. I'm not going to do that. But if she falls and she bumps her knee or something, you learn not to run in no shoes or not to run without your shoelaces tied, things like that. Small life lessons that will carry on to when she gets older.
Exactly.
And it sounds like we align on that, so that's good.
Yep, I agree.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for sharing what they did not prepare you for fatherhood.
Yep.
And I'm going to let that wrap our session on the fatherhood thing. So I want to make this a little more lighthearted, a little more fun. So what I'm going to do for the show with my guests is I send them questions before all this, so he already knew what we were going to talk about. But I want to ask you 3 questions. Did you pick the 3 questions or no?
I didn't pick the 3 questions.
All right, I'm just going to ask you the questions then. I'm going to ask you the questions. Not the theme song one, but if you had to think about it, what is your biggest regret?
If I had to think about it off the top of my head, it would be not finishing. I not getting the degree in college.
I kind of feel the same way, but at the same time, I'm like, eh.
Well, yeah, now I do, but that was always one of my regrets. Like, I should have picked one, but now I'm like, I can move on without it. So
same, and I've realized it's not as major as people make it out to be, because a lot of what I've learned from experience and from mentors.
Yeah.
So, and that's been able to carry me into better positions in life. And, I think things like that are more beneficial. Honestly, if Love didn't want to go to college, I wouldn't be against it. If she had a solid plan.
Exactly.
If she had a solid plan, I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Yeah, why not? You don't need school. I think college was beneficial for personal growth, like just developmental growth, being on your own, independent, things like that. But as far as like the education process and getting a degree, it's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's beneficial. Yes, it can make more money down the line. But I also know people who have 2 degrees and work in retail. So it's not all that it's cracked.
Now it's more of a new day and age. Like, you can find your lane a lot easier. Like you have social media where people are getting paid for social media. You got streaming. People are getting paid on YouTube and different streaming. People
software. Get paid to play video games. They get paid to play video games. Something my mom told me I would waste my time on. It's funny as crap to me.
So that I would say that was one of my regrets, just because I know how hard I had to work to get to where I'm at right now. And I'm still working, to move up.
Understandable. Thank you for sharing that. Question number 2. What is something you would tell your younger self?
don't be as selfish.
Interesting. I never paid you as a selfish person.
Yeah. I have had a lot of time to kind of think and reflect on that. In certain points in my life, I know I've chose a selfish route to do things for myself rather than, other people. So I'll say that. And I mean, outside of that, continue being you.
Continue being awesome. That's what you're gonna say to yourself.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Okay, I can recognize that. That's what's up. All right, and the last question, and I ask everybody this. So when I do for my job, I do the onboarding of new hires, and I always do an icebreaker. And this is my question because one, I like to find what's out there and check new things out. But what are you streaming currently? Whether it's a movie, TV show, or music, what are you streaming right now?
Really, since the pandemic, I haven't done much like new music. So
interesting.
Yeah,
I need to drop you some songs.
I'm still, definitely. I'm still listening to old J. Cole stuff, like his first 3 albums for me.
Hey, you see the Forest Hill Drives?
The Forest
Hill Drives? Let's go. We should have went to that concert together, but it's all good.
Yeah. Newer artist, R&B for me, like Snow Allegra. Love Snow Allegra. And then as far as like movies or stuff on like Netflix, we'll call it, I just finished up a lot of things. So I finished up a show called Kaleidoscope.
Ooh, is that with the dude from Breaking Bad? I don't know his name. Maybe you haven't seen Breaking Bad.
The black guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's in my queue. I gotta watch that. When I saw him, that's my guy. Anything he's ever been in, I loved. Honestly, he's a fantastic actor.
They have where you can watch any episode, and it all ties into everything. So it doesn't matter where you start and how you started. You can watch the last episode first. You can watch the middle. As long as you watch them all, because they all take place at different times, so you can piece stuff together. So that's really good.
So now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched Alice in Borderland. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not.
You gotta check that out.
What's it about? Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah.
All right, I'll check it. I might check it out.
It has nothing to do with like Alice in Wonderland.
That's what I thought. It's like you said it.
It's not that. So I don't want to explain it because I'm terrible at explaining movies. But
it's all good.
Yeah, I'll say even just look at the trailer and see if you like it. And then like I'm real like my wife says I'm weird with stuff. So have you seen The Circle on?
Bro, that's my show. I'm watching that right now.
Yes. Okay. I'm not the only one.
Wait, hold on. Don't tell me she be hating on The Circle.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, every season they come on, I'm like, yo, The Circle is back. And
dude, I'm
like,
actually applying for it. I'm applying for it. I want to be on The Circle, dude. Yes. I'm going to go in as myself, obviously. I think we done too.
Yeah, I would too. And
I can't go in as no catfish. I ain't got time to be pretending I'm somebody I'm not. I think I will win too because I'm genuine all the time. So I think that'd be fun. Yo, now that I know you watched The Circle, dude, we're gonna talk about season 5. If y'all, whoever's listening right now, if you have not watched The Circle, please watch it. It is a very fantastic social experiment of like social media, and I think if you watch season 1, you'll be hooked. And yeah, we're gonna talk about that offline.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Dope. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you for being part of my 3-question segment and being my first guest on my show, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. You're my guy, and I'm glad. Guest.
Absolutely, man. I wanted to take this as an opportunity to catch up because I haven't seen you since you moved, and I just wanted to catch up with you. And I know we haven't really had a chance to share our stories about fatherhood so far because of the pandemic and the fact that we haven't had a chance to really connect. So this has been great. For those of you listening, hopefully you're a first-time father. Hopefully this helped alleviate some of that stress. If you have any questions for Marcus or for myself, please leave it in the comments. And I'm going to have them back for sure because, that's the one thing. My guests, they're not going to be one and done. They're going to come back because we're always growing. We're always having new experiences. And I want to, just follow up with them. So thank you for tapping in and kicking it with B and kicking it with my guest, Marcus. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, peace. You got the fire alarm in the back? Uh-oh. All right, I stopped recording. All right.